Okay. Calling Philip Elbert on April 4th, 2014, 12:03 p.m. Koppala case. Yes, this is Terry Nemmers again. I received the emailed reports, and I just got a chance to read over them, and it seems strange that no one called the father, and all of a sudden the father knows everything.
Bingo!
Yeah.
You see it.
Yeah.
Now, to be honest, okay, a supervisor who goes over these police reports, as a cop or a prosecutor, I mean, it's obvious of what's going on here.
Uh-huh.
Did you catch what Chief Fletcher did in his report?
Well, the one thing I noticed is a bunch of people don't like Koppala. So that's the one thing I noticed to start with. The thing in Fletcher's report, okay, I think I might have missed it then. Why don't you clue me in? Let's see. Well, the thing is, I don't understand how come he walks in there and reads him his rights immediately. I mean, it's not an interview to start with, it's an interrogation. That's the part I thought was strange.
Yeah. And what the judge decided is that, because at the time of the interview he wasn't under arrest,
Uh-huh.
that, he was free to leave, and, it wasn't an in-custody interrogation.
Uh-huh. Well, the thing is, if he's sitting blocking the door, then he's prevented from leaving anyhow. That's why... What's it? You agree with that?
I agree.
Yeah, yeah. So that's one of the things. What's the other thing that I'm missing then?
Okay. Go to Fletcher's report.
I'm there.
And, okay, second paragraph.
Okay.
Second sentence.
Okay, hold on. I'm on the third page, not the first page. Okay, first page, second paragraph. Joe stated.
Joe stated to me.
Yes.
Okay, now go to Adam's report.
Okay.
First page, first paragraph. Should be the third sentence.
Okay.
Or, no. 1, 2. Second sentence. Joe stated to me.
Right.
Now, just read those two portions.
Right, sounds exactly the same.
It's exactly the same.
Yeah.
Now go to Fletcher's report, because Adams's report, touched her breast and butt.
Okay.
So now, go to Fletcher's report.
Okay.
Touched her breast and butt. Then look at the language that he uses. I asked Stevemer. Now, what did he say up above? It's Joe.
Right.
Joe stated to me. Then he goes, I asked Stevemer. So this, Joe stated to me this was copied out of Adams's report.
Sure.
It's copy and paste. So he put it into his report, and then when he actually took over the case, he called Stevemer to see if he could come in for an interview.
Okay.
I asked Stevemer if he could arrange for an interview. Well, that's all true.
Sure.
But this whole thing about his conversation with Joe, it's not true. Because this is what Adams did.
Okay.
And Fletcher's making it seem like he did it.
Sure.
He didn't.
I do believe that's falsification of a police report then, right?
That it certainly looks like it to me.
Sure. And I think that's a
my theory of the case
Uh-huh.
has been was Joe that made this up. And we know that to be true because Mary never knew it. Mike never knew it. And Joe never talked to the girl because Joe even says that. So it came from nobody. Joe made it up when he calls the police. And then he talks to the girl and they come up with a consistent story. Because the girl never says, because there was the statement to Mary and there was a handwritten note that the girl made. She never said breast or butt in any of that.
Okay.
But magically, after she talks to Joe, she goes into the police and says breast and butt.
Okay. Well, the thing is, if she said he touched her in the chest, well, where in the chest? Where's that question?
No.
So it could be the collarbone. It could be all sorts of different places.
No.
So that's what I was thinking. Well, the first thing I read that was going, yeah, chest. Where in the chest?
Mm-hmm.
And I do believe that's supposed to be part of that examination, the forensic examination. They're supposed to point to where they're where they're touched, right? If they don't say. So it should have been clear where she was touched immediately.
Mm-hmm. Now, let's see. Let's go to that. The transcript.
Well, the thing is, okay, if you're a teenage girl and you were just molested, wouldn't the first thing you do is get on your cell phone and call your mom?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I agree with that, and that just triggered another thought. Okay, now takes us to Mike Stevenmer.
Uh-huh.
Okay, Mike's a cop. Now.
Oh, he's a Blue Earth cop or what?
He's a part-time Faribault County deputy, and I think he's a police officer too. But
oh, okay, yeah, Mike. I get confused between Joe and Mike. What is Joe?
So now let's go to Mike Stevenmer's report.
Okay.
And do you have it with you by any chance?
Yeah, I got them all here. Just that.
Okay. Read the first couple of sentences in Mike's report. Can you just read them to me?
Okay, let's see. That's a report by Scott Adams. Let's see. Mike Stevenmer. Details. On Friday night, June 7th, 2013, at approximately 9:55 p.m., I received a phone call from my mother, Mary Catherine Stevenmer, about a situation that occurred at her house.
No, stop.
Okay.
A situation.
Right.
Okay. All right, continue reading.
Okay. At the time of the call, I was on a camping vacation with my family at Yogi Bear campground in Dexter, Minnesota. So I was reached by my cell phone. My mother had informed me that a legal situation occurred between Father Leo Koppala and my juvenile blank CS at her house earlier in the evening, and needed some.
Stop.
Okay.
A legal situation.
Right.
Right. Okay. Now go back to Adams's report. Okay. First page. According to Joe, he received a call from his mother regarding a sexual assault. Okay. Go to Fletcher's report. According to Deputy Adams, he recalled Mike regarding a sexual assault. Okay, compare how cops talk.
Uh-huh.
When cops do a report, they say, on such and such a date, I received a report of a theft. I received a report of an assault.
Sure.
Okay. I was driving down the road and I saw two males fighting.
Right.
You don't see cops saying, I was driving down the road and I saw two men in a legal situation. Okay? They don't say that.
Uh-huh.
I received a telephone call from Walmart involving a legal situation.
Right.
They don't say that.
Right.
So you have to ask yourself, why did Mike say what he did? And that takes me to a line in a movie. The movie is called Absence of Malice.
Okay.
Ever seen that movie?
Yep.
Okay. In that movie, kind of at the end, the reporter, so Sally Fields, is being interviewed by another reporter, and the question is something like, what is your relationship to this guy? And she says, we're friends. And then the reporter goes, is that true? And she goes, no, but it's accurate.
Okay.
That's Mike Stevenmer's report.
Sure.
Is it true? No. Is it accurate? Yes.
Yeah.
And this is why I have always said that to be honest, Mike, on one hand, Mike is kind of a stand-up guy. It would have been very easy for Mike to lie, but he didn't. So he didn't lie, but he also knew that if he told the truth, it would hurt the case. So instead of lying, and instead of telling the truth, what he reported was accurate. She called me about a legal situation. Well, in my opinion, that's not the way cops talk, but that's the way lawyers talk.
Sure.
And I think that either Troy Timmerman or Lamar Piper helped Mike Stevenmer write his report.
Sure.
Because Mike's like, what should I say?
Sure.
And,
So, in other words, that a legal situation means it could be a sexual harassment suit.
Yeah, but it's a contract, a breach of contract.
Right. Right. So that's, yeah, it's creative report writing.
Yep.
So, okay, I understand that all sorts of people are coerced or, feel pressured to do that, to take a plea deal. Is it just he just had enough of it?
Well, okay, this goes into the whole fiasco of the plea.
Okay.
I had said from the beginning, when a criminal case begins, the first thing lawyers do is they try talking about plea bargaining.
Sure.
And okay, there's a couple of things. First of all, when you're charged with this type of a sex offense, if you plead guilty to anything, you have to register as a sex offender.
Sure.
And so I knew that. And I also knew that if he pled guilty to anything, in any plea involving a juvenile, it's a deportable offense.
Sure.
So I knew coming into this thing that any plea that he would do would ultimately result in him getting deported.
Sure.
But I didn't want that to happen because I didn't want him to fall into the void of immigration and being held for an unknown length of time waiting for a deportation hearing.
Sure.
So ultimately, when we came into court on that probable cause hearing, we all met with the judge and we finally came up with a plan. And that plan would be that Leo would plead guilty. He would do an Elbert plea, which means that all he's admitting to is that there's evidence against him.
Okay.
Okay. So he would take an Elbert plea, get sentenced, and get on a plane that day and go home. So we were going to have him. So we were going to do the plea on one day. Then we were going to come back in a couple of weeks, which would have given him time to get his ticket together. He would have pled guilty first thing in the morning, and then he would have been at the Minneapolis airport, for a 3 o'clock flight.
Sure.
And that was why we did this, because it was the only way that I could assure Leo that he could leave on his own terms. So we did what we did.
Okay.
Then what happened? He goes to plead guilty law enforcement center to get his passport because he needed that to get his ticket.
Sure.
And he finds out that his passport's expired.
Oh, great.
Yeah. We thought his passport expired in April, but it expired in March.
Okay.
So now he cannot get a ticket because he's got an expired passport.
Sure.
So, so I went to the judge and I went to Troy Timmerman. I said, hey, here's the situation. Are you okay with the continuance? You know, get him his passport back. Let him go to Chicago. Let him renew his passport. We'll come back and we'll do sentencing and we'll do this thing all over again. And the answer was no. The judge denied my request for continuance.
Okay.
So, so then we had to discuss, because now we knew what was going to happen. We knew that that he's going to be picked up by immigration. He's going to be deported because he can't get his passport renewed in time.
Sure.
So now the question is, do we withdraw the plea? And to be honest, I was the one putting the pressure on Leo to withdraw his plea.
Okay.
Because the whole point of the plea bargain had just gone out the window.
Exactly.
But it was Leo that decided, he goes, you know what? No. He goes, I want finality, and I want to get home as soon as possible. And it was Leo's choice not to.
Sure.
So he,
well,
we came into court. He got sentenced, and and then this is the kind of the coup de grace of this whole thing. So, because Leo had to do his probation agreement, and he had to do all the sex offender reporting stuff. And so the judge says, you know, I want you to meet with probation, go into the little courtroom, like down the hall. You guys get all that paperwork together before you leave the courthouse. And we were all, okay. So I had to go to court in Worthington, so I said bye, and I took off, and I went out to Worthington. Well, Leo goes into the little courtroom and waits for the probation officer. The probation officer comes in and he goes, you know, I think it would be better if we did this down at the LEC, you know, down by the I-90 office.
Okay.
So everybody packs up, they go down to the LEC, and guess who's waiting for them?
Yeah, ICE.
So, how did probation know this?
Because
that wasn't done on a lark.
Sure.
So, it's difficult for me to tell you who it was who brought ICE to Blue Earth. It had to have been somebody with some pull, but it could have been either the sheriff, it could have been Chief Fletcher, could have been Timmerman, you know, it could have been anybody.
Yeah.
Tipped off ICE, but it had to have been somebody with some clout because they came down with agents.
Sure.
But I know for a fact it was Timmerman who told the probation officer to take him down to the LEC. It wasn't the cops who talked to the probation officer. It was Timmerman.
Sure.
So Timmerman knew all about this. He knew that the agents were there. He did this to screw us all over. He knew he was violating the intent and the spirit of our plea agreement, and that's what happened.
Sure. He's going to teach you a lesson.
Yeah.
Because you made him look bad in the paper because you called him on illegally withholding the documents.
Yeah.
Yep. So is he going to decide to change his plea at all and try to revoke or try to
No, he made the final decision to just go along with it. I'm just hoping, I got my fingers crossed that it'll take him a couple of weeks and he'll be on a plane.
Yeah, well, so is he in Sherburne County then?
Well, it's Elbert Lee.
Okay.
He's in Elbert Lee jail.
Okay. Because I was in Sherburne County and all sorts of people languished in there for a long period of time. So.
Well, and I've heard that, and I'm only hoping that those are the people who are fighting deportation.
No. No, they were trying to screw this guy over too, so. So yeah, he was in there on a trumped up charge to start with. So he was beat up by some cops. So they wanted to make sure he was gone, and all his evidence disappeared. You know, those kind of details. So, but yeah, no one was deported early there. So, but I was in there in a couple years ago. So whether it's changed or not, I don't know. Well, I submitted the information I asked, Timmerman, that you received a carbon copy of. I still haven't received that, so I'm going to...
And you won't.
Oh.
You won't.
Well, the thing is, I put all that information up on my blog, and I've already called the auditor and recorded his call and said, how come you aren't returning my call and giving me the information? So, and then boom, all of a sudden my information shows up. So Timmerman's on the panic. He knows what my next move is, so I have absolutely no problem calling him up and asking him a bunch of questions. So that is the detail. So I've done it before. If you watch any of my videos, that's all I ever do is call him up. So I mean, that's I pretty much focus on is these data requests. So I get them to panic real quick when I start making phone calls there. So. And he's already panicked once, so it doesn't take very long for him to panic the second time. So.
All right. Well, you know basically the case.
Okay.
So.
Well, I'll start asking some questions then to the chief of police. Because what I normally do is after the case is done with, well, now everything's open to the public, so I start asking for information. So. Then I can start asking these questions, the things that we'd already discussed, and say, geez, this looks kind of strange, why this is this, and isn't that falsifying police reports? So I get them to panic. So.
All right. Well, I appreciate you taking a look at the case, and I wish you the best.
Well, I certainly will follow up on it. I have no problem. I have a dislike for Mr. Timmerman, so. And I appreciate...
Timmerman is... I have to think here for a second. Yeah, he's the only... Do I want to say attorney or prosecutor? I can easily say he's the only prosecutor that's ever yelled at me.
Really?
Yeah, I was at the courthouse in Blue Earth, and I was complaining about lack of discovery, and he actually goes off. He's yelling at me. Right in the courthouse little entry room. Okay. And that was the first time that's ever happened to me.
Huh.
So.
Well, then I'd say.
I think.
Go ahead.
I don't know. Is he overwhelmed? I don't know.
Well, I'd say he's panicked that you are asking for stuff he's trying to illegally withhold, and he's got something to hide. So, I mean, why else would you blow up on someone? You say the normal reaction should be, "Sorry, I'll make sure I get it to you." Right?
Right.
See. Yeah. But again, I mean, why is he going out of his way? Because when I read that report, the first one you sent me, I'm going, okay, why was the big fight over this? There's really nothing here. See?
Yeah.
So, and that really was my response. I'm going, why? But obviously there has to be something behind the hiding of evidence. I mean, because that's your spoliation. I mean, there is a motive to it,
Right, and the reason is Mike didn't want to do the report because he knew it was a bunch of BS.
Right.
And Mike didn't want to lie.
Right. Well, see, and that's where, I understand. When I was in jail, and I saw all sorts of people taking stupid plea deals, and I've told them, don't do it, and they all take the plea deal. 95% of the people take pleas. So, I mean, I've been in jail more than once for all sorts of trumped up charges, so I know that the only way I will save myself is by sticking to the story that I'm innocent, because, well, not the story that I'm innocent, the truth that I am innocent. So hopefully he has a change of heart in there, and and changes his plea. And I'd rather see him fight it and be convicted than take a plea deal.
Yeah. Well, he's not. I mean, the case is now done. It's done. So
sure.
It is what it is at this point.
Right. Right. Well, the thing is, there was a case in Sherburne County. That's one of the things the things I learned in there as I gathered all sorts of evidence, while I was in there. And there was a case of a guy that got convicted of, or he swore up and down that he would not take a plea on this pornography charge. So when I got out, I said, I will fight for you tooth and nail, once I get out, which of course I did. And then as soon as I got out, then he took a plea deal. So then I started contacting the state public defender's office, and I said, hey, this guy told me that he was brought into an interview with the FBI and I don't remember, I think it was a sheriff's deputy. And they started questioning him, and his wife had an incident outside, and they refused to let him leave, but they didn't read him his rights until after he had signed the thing, his Miranda rights. I mean, at the end of the interrogation, then they arrested him. See, I said, well, that's not the way it's supposed to go, and so then I forced an appeal on that. It's in the appeals court right now, so I may shoot for that one. So whether you may think it's done, but I have a different opinion. So, and they don't. Your head boss doesn't like me, so I have no problem with that either. So I certainly will contact him, but I don't necessarily have to. Tell me what you want to do. Do you want me to say that I've talked to you or not? Because I'll do it either way.
You're free to say whatever you want to say.
Okay. I'm
not going to tell you what to say.
Okay. Because some people don't. I mean, they want the anonymous package deal. So, as long as you have no problem with it, then that's fine.
You talk to me, and that's the truth.
Okay, that's all I need to know. So as long as I'm not going to try and pull some fast one on you. So, all right. Well. Okay. Well,
I got to run. So
okay.
I appreciate your interest, and
yes.
Like I said, I wish you the best.
Thank you. I appreciate your time and all the information you sent me.
Okay. All right. Talk to you later.
Yep. Bye now.
Okay. Bye.